Hi everybody, this is Mr. Biscayewitz, middle school engineering teacher at Hayfield Secondary School. And this video is about the white box mousetrap car project, specifically completing the competition levels in that project. And some students really get stuck, and there is a methodical approach to getting from, level 1, completing level 1, going to level 2, etc. And we're going to go over that methodical approach in this presentation, okay? And first thing you got to do is, this is how the points are calculated in order for you to go to complete level 1 and go to level 2. It includes your worksheet and quiz grades. It gives you 5 points every time you compete with a inspect car, a new inspect car, an iteration or version, if you will. And then it gives you points based on your performance of your car. How fast, how far does it go? Well, if your worksheet grades and quiz grades are really, really low, like this, all right, you're going to have a tough time. Matter of fact, it's kind of impossible to go from one level to the next, because you can have a really great car and you can do iteration after iteration. You're not going to get to 180 points if you only had 52 points in your quizzes and worksheets. Now, this is my account. I did this on purpose. The reason I only have 52 points is I haven't completed all my worksheets and quizzes, okay? So if I go complete those worksheets and quizzes, then I'm going to have a lot more points over here, and it's going to make it possible for me, by coming up with a good car and competing with it, to go to that next level. So if you have low quiz grade scores, or you just haven't completed them, one, complete them. You got to complete them. A lot of people jump straight to engineering because it's a lot more fun than taking quizzes. Secondly, if you've already taken them and you've already used the retake in those worksheets and quizzes, go talk to your teacher and say, hey teacher, I'd like to retake these again, all right? And you need to get these points up here. If they're really low like that, you're going to have a really tough time. All right? Now, the rest of the steps are specific to white box and building your car. And we're going to jump into white box here right away. I am going to follow step 1. I'm going to create a new mousetrap car. I'm sorry, step 2. Create a new mousetrap car and get it in spec. That's all I'm going to focus on. I'm going to go new mousetrap car. I'm going to have to give it a name, Mr. B, period 2, and it's I think it's my second or third car, whatever. I just got to give it a unique name. Start design. Start design. Oh, there we go. Delay. That's a heck of a delay. All right. So, first of all, what I want you to do in engineering is always have this screen up, the performance menu under analysis. It tells you everything you need to know about your car, almost everything. All right. And then to see what your car looks like, click on all these eyes in the design. This is the default design that white box gives you, okay? It's usually not a very good design, but it's a starting point. Now, what do I mean by inspect car? Well, I mean that if you go over and look at the specifications, and engineers live and die by specifications, their projects have to meet the specifications. Anything that's in red needs to be fixed. And don't worry about this one at the top says your car didn't cross the finish line. Well, that's because, well, your car's not very good right now. All right, but we're going to take care of that after we get your car in spec. Now read this carefully. The rear wheel diameter is supposed to be between 35 and 55. See, minimum is 35, maximum is 55. But as our current design says, it's 58. So let's go fix that, the rear wheel diameter. So go to the rear wheel axle assembly. And here are our wheel choices. So you can try all these different ones, or you can just pick rear racer and click on it. It's a smaller wheel, obviously a smaller wheel there, right? Come on, I'm going to move this a little bit. There we go. It's a smaller wheel. Now if we go back to specs, it's not complaining anymore, all right? Rear axle position has to be between 9 and 20, and ours is at 25. So let's go back over to here and under rear axle. And it's saying position from rear. Ours is 25. It needs to be 9 and 20. I'm just going to make it 9. There's a reason for that, so why don't you go ahead and do that too, all right? And then, what does our car look like? Well, it's in spec, but it's still not crossing the finish line. Okay, so now we are going to move on to minimize step 3. We've got in spec car. We're done with step 2. Step 3 means minimize the friction. Friction is when this axle is spinning in this balsa wood and it's spinning directly on the balsa wood, it creates a lot of friction. Friction is like brakes. That's how your brakes work on your bike. In order for our car to go the furthest, we want to minimize friction, just like on your bike or skateboard or anything that has wheels. So we need to add bearings, which is we put something in between this axle and the wood. What we normally put in there is just a plastic straw or something similar to that. So let's go back and look at that. All right, the bearing, we call that a bearing. It's just something that between the axle and the wood is nothing. So let's go ahead and pick laminated tube, all right? That's going to work. That's going to help. Now, oh yeah, let me click on, I unclicked this by accident. Let me put this back. Oh no, we'll just leave it there. Laminated tube. Now, our car still isn't doing so great, but don't worry about that. We're on step 3, which says we're going to minimize the friction, all right? Front and rear. So we did the rear axle, and we're going to go to the front axle, and we're going to put a bearing there as well. I'm going to use laminated tube. It's pretty good. Okay? Our car still isn't going much of anywhere. Now we are in spec, okay, so that's good. But why might our car not be going anywhere? Well, if you have seen the video where there are 3 Mousetrap cars compared, one's very, very short, where the lever arm, this guy right here, is very, very short. And then the next one is kind of medium, and the third one is pretty large. The shorter the lever arm, the faster that arm just whips over, okay? It just comes flying like that, dumps all its energy in the back wheel, spins this axle so fast that the wheels spin, but the car doesn't go anywhere. These wheels that are on the car now have this really smooth plastic finish, and when you dump all that power in the back wheel, they're just going to spin on the tile floor or on your desk. So on the rear wheel, we can actually do something. We can actually add some rubber bands. See the rubber band right here? It's kind of like adding some grip. It's the difference between having bald tires on your car or tires, brand new tires that have some nice grip. Now our car is going somewhere, all right? The green part means that's where it's going as the Mousetrap is moving. Okay, easier to see on here. As that lever arm is moving, that's the green part. The red part is after the Mousetrap is done, does the vehicle coast? Well, it's coasting pretty good because we minimized that friction, so these wheels are spinning. These wheels are spinning nice and freely. That's a good thing, all right? Let's look, and so now we got a car that's working pretty well. The wheels are still spinning a bit. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we've reduced friction. That's good, and our car's kind of going somewhere. It's still not getting to the required 10 meters. All right, what's the next thing it tells us to do? Well, let's minimize some weight here. And remember, a heavier object's going to take more energy to move than a lighter object, okay? That's why they always make race cars as light as possible, airplanes, all that stuff. Make it as light as possible. Aluminum axles weigh a lot less than a steel axle, so let's go and check that out. What are our axles? Well, they're steel. Let's make them aluminum. And just doing that, making the front of my car lighter, is going to help. And I have a bearing up there. And on the rear axle, we also want to make it aluminum, but something weird is going to happen here we'll talk about in a second. Our car's still moving, but it kind of went in the wrong direction. We were going over 4 meters. Now it's going less than 4 meters. But trust me, let's just keep pressing on. So that's as light as we can make our car right now. What's the next step say? Maximize the mechanical advantage. That's basically saying make your lever arm as long as possible. You want a really nice long lever arm, not some super short lever arm like this, okay, that's going to dump all its energy super quick. You want a nice long one like that, okay? So how do we do that? Well, we go into, it's in the Mousetrap assembly, and the lever arm is right here, and it defaults to a length of 100. Let's make that a lot longer, like 200. Oop, come on. My computer is, okay, there we go. I made it 200. Okay, look at the big difference it made. Now we're going almost 10 meters. Almost, we're almost there, okay? And what did we do? Well, we made our lever arm longer. So we slowed down. We didn't dump all that power on the back wheels and cause our back wheels to spin. Can we make our lever arm even longer? Yeah, let's do that. Let's make it as long as we possibly can. I'm just putting a really huge number in there, and white box will truncate it to the maximum. And now we're going over 10 meters. So guess what? We actually have a car that is completely in spec. And yes, we are crossing the finish line. We could go compete with this car and get some points. All right? So that's what I would suggest doing. Come over here, do File, Save, and Enter Competition. Save and Enter Competition. And go to the competition, compete, and get some more points. Now, after we do that, how can we make our car better so that our performance goes up? Well, notice our wheels are still spinning a little bit. Now, this is going to contradict something I said a little bit ago. We've made the lever arm as long as we possibly can. And we can go over here and check here. The frame length is maxed out. So we've made our car as long as possible. But why are our wheels still spinning? We can't make our lever arm any longer to slow it down anymore. Well, this is something that's not obvious unless you are kind of a little bit older than you probably are, and that is some cars are rear wheel drive like this one. In other words, the back wheels are what power the car forward, okay? All cars used to be like this not that long ago. And in the wintertime, when it was snow and icy back there, your back wheels would spin like crazy because there was no weight over the back wheels to kind of force them down onto the ice and snow and give you some grip. So we used to put bags of sand in the back of our cars in the trunk to put more weight on the back of the car so that the wheels wouldn't spin so much. I know that contradicts when I said, hey, go over to this rear axle here and change it to aluminum to minimize weight. And that still is okay, but if we add a little bit of weight to the back end, and you really don't, it's not that obvious, I'm going to add steel. I'm going to put the steel back. It's going to add a little weight to the back end of my car, and sure enough, now my wheels are not spinning at all. Hey, that wasn't obvious to me when I first started messing around with this project either, that I needed to actually add some weight to the back of the car. I think that's a little bit sneaky because we've maxed out the car, everything else is in spec, and now we are going over 10 meters We're exceeding the requirement of 10 meters. Now we can go over here and save it, enter in competition. It's a little slow. And then we'll get even more points, and hopefully we'll be in a position to move on to the next level. Keeping in mind, oops, you know, if you're a white box user, you're used to seeing that error message every once in a while. Okay, so I'm in the competition. I could go over there, compete, get some more points. But remember, if your grades, quizzes and worksheet grades, look like this, you need to fix that first. That's step one, right? You need to check your quizzes and worksheet grades and either complete them or retake them, or you're never going to get to step two. You're just beating your head against the wall, okay? So make sure you do that first, and then come in here and follow these tips I've given you to build a Mousetrap car that is going to be in spec and is going to get you enough points to get you to level 2. Level 2, you're going to follow something very similar. The wheels you can use in level 2 are different because the specification is different, but the same idea, the same methodical process will work for you, okay? All right, that's it, and good luck, everybody.